Palantir already claims healthcare as their third largest vertical. Healthcare is absolutely massive. It is huge for Palantir, both private and public. You see, Palantir works domestically and abroad with some of the largest healthcare agencies in the world. For example, the NIH, the CDC, the NHS, the Cleveland Clinic, HCA, and many other companies and government agencies. Palantir has been working with these government agencies as well as private companies for years, and Palantir is absolutely taking the healthcare sector by storm. Currently, Palantir is trying to get a massive contract with the NHS England, and there's a lot of critics about this contract going to Palantir. A lot of people are critics that anybody who gets this contract is not going to be able to help the NHS. Now, I don't live in England, but everybody that I speak to says that this NHS system is absolutely broken. It is terrible. The wait times are ridiculous, and the service is terrible, including the staffing that absolutely hates working for the NHS because they're understaffed, overworked, and underpaid. Of course, nobody wants to do that. Even with all of this, there's already a pilot program that Palantir works with the NHS, and as per the Prime Minister, that's not me saying it, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Rishi Sunak, says that they reduced wait times by nearly a third, 28%. Not to mention they reduced wait times for cancer treatments, cancer appointments by 1 to 2 days. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have a very bad case of cancer, 1 or 2 days can quite literally save your life. That is the difference between you living and you not living, catching something in advance or not catching something in advance. So the question is, Adam, that's all fine and dandy, and Palantir actually works because the proof is in the pudding, but what else can they do? What can they do now? You see, everything that I just said, they did without the use of AIP, the Artificial Intelligence Platform. They already worked with the NHS for quite a while, and they already have over $100 million that they earned working with the NHS. Not to mention they worked with the NIH, the CDC, so on and so forth in our country. You see, they start with a contract for $1 or £1, and this is how they get you. And by get you, I don't mean, hey, we got you. Hey, we got you because we work so well. They offered working with the NHS during COVID for a £1 contract. And of course, they saw how amazing Palantir Foundry is, and they said, listen, we really need you, and let's keep extending our contracts. And now they're vying for this massive $500 million to $1 billion federated data platform that essentially is going to revamp the entire NHS. For anybody that's wondering, well, what can they do above and beyond saving nearly a third in wait times, which is already ridiculous, well, it's going to be a two-pronged attack. The other day, there was the AIPCon, Artificial Intelligence Platform Convention, which is essentially ChatGPT for your specific business using your unique data and giving you information in real time, predictive information in real time using AGI, which stands for Artificial Generative Intelligence, and LLMs, Large Language Models. There was a gentleman from the Cleveland Clinic. If you guys are unaware what the Cleveland Clinic is, it's one of the largest it is one of the largest hospital healthcare groups in the world, and of course in the United States. They have over 11 hospitals and 19 healthcare centers, not to mention many other subcategories. They are absolutely massive with literally thousands of beds, and they've been using Palantir for quite a while. They recently did a presentation at AIPCon, which you guys should definitely watch, but I don't want to bore you with the presentation, and I'm just going to give you the statistics, and you tell me if this can help the NHS or not. This is obviously a rhetorical question. I am being sarcastic. 100% this can help the NHS. Let me give you the statistics, shall I? So the guy came up with two models. On the first model, he gave an example using AIP and AIP assistants. AIP assistants is essentially virtual assistants instead of people that help you use the AIP platform, and all data is being reviewed by people. The first thing you see is on a single screen, instead of going through, 5 different systems, it shows you a single system where you see all the beds from all the facilities in all of the hospitals in all of the departments for the Cleveland Clinic. So could you imagine that you have one system that shows you all the beds of the entire NHS throughout all of the subcategories, all of the different hospitals, all of the different clinics, so on and so forth. Again, this is not one per every single hospital, per every single department. It's literally one screen that gives you all of the information. And instead of you actually combing through all the data, you could literally ask, hey, can you give me the information for X hospital in Northern England? Could you also give me the information for the emergency room department in a certain hospital in Manchester? I'm just giving you guys an example. It's absolutely huge. Do you understand how much time you're going to save? Which I'll give you in just a moment. Cleveland Clinic's statistics. On the screen, on one side of the screen, you see all inflows of patients, including every single department. For example, any transfers, anything coming in from the emergency room, or any surgeries. By knowing who's coming at what time for what specific issues, obviously it makes it a lot easier to be able to prepare, and anything being done proactive instead of reactive allows you for a type of calm and a greater efficiency. Everybody knows this in our own world, right? If you have an appointment at 9 o'clock and you're waking up at 8:30, you're not going to be efficient, you're going to be late, you're going to be super nervous, and everything is going to be fucked up. But if you have an appointment for 9 o'clock and you wake up at 7 o'clock, you wake up, you make your breakfast, you get your coffee, you brush your teeth, you put on your shirt, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to rush. And by not rushing, you are neat, you are tidy, and you are as efficient as possible, the best version of yourself. And isn't that exactly what we need when it comes to healthcare? Let's just think about that for just a moment. And on the other side of the screen was all the discharges. Again, all the discharges across all of the hospitals, in all of the departments, and all of the subcategories for what they're being discharged. So the guy from the Cleveland Clinic, he made it very specific. It's not just a snapshot. Besides for that, AIP is giving you predictability and forecasting. And this predictability and forecasting allows people to match up with availability ASAP. What does that mean? If you have a bed, sometimes people get let go at 12 o'clock, sometimes at 5 in the afternoon, and sometimes at 9 o'clock at night. And depending on what you're bringing somebody in for, the inflow, you could match a certain person's inflow with a certain type of bed. Not everybody can be admitted at 9 o'clock at night, but for certain things, you could be admitted at 9 o'clock at night. Maybe you need certain staffing, certain type of doctor, so on and so forth. So this alone increases your efficiency and increases your capacity. Not that you now have a larger amount for capacity, but you are super efficient because you are matching up the inflows and outflows perfectly. All thanks to AIP's proactivity instead of reactivity. They gave some stats. 8.5% more patients were seen, 75% reduction on time spent calculating. So all of these calculations are done by staff, right? By nursing staff and administrative staff. The guy from Cleveland Clinic said 75% reduction. That is absolutely absurd. He says that the staffing, right? The staffing prior to using AIP used to take 4 to 5 hours of bed calculation, and that is now reduced to 45 minutes. It is absolutely insane. And he says we had to use 5 different screens and 5 different systems, and now we just got to use artificial intelligence platform by PALANTIR. A 33% increase in patients' admittance. You're trying to say that this is not absolutely a perfect marriage with NHS? Absolutely, 100% is. Just people are so naive and ignorant, and they don't want to pay attention to literally the demo that we had. All these haters, all these bears are not even fucking paying attention to the amazing demo that we had, talking about, oh, these YouTubers are talking, blah, blah, blah. This is literally a guy that's running the Cleveland Clinic, that's one of the largest healthcare groups in the entire world, saying this, not me. I'm just a parrot repeating and regurgitating what he said on stage. He gave us another model for staffing. For staffing, he says, it's very, very important because understaffed, it's very hard to find nurses. And this makes people get angry because if you can't increase the pay, at least decrease the stress. How do you decrease the stress? Well, you become more efficient. How is that? You make it easier for people to review the data, and not only review the data, but get preemptive prompts that allows you to use the data in the most efficient type of way. On another screen, another presentation, he literally showed a current allocation of all staff. That includes doctors and nurses assistants, so on and so forth, etc., throughout all departments, in all hospitals, so on and so forth. They also showed the staffing requirements. What requirement of staff do you need? What kind of staff is available? And then it gives you the actual forecasting demand versus the actual staff that you have. So it's going to tell you what you have in what departments. Maybe you're overstaffed in one department, understaffed in another. Can you shift one person from one department to another, which had to be done semi-manually before, but now you're getting predictive prompts to become as more efficient as possible. And he says that this even allows them to do a schedule 2 to 4 weeks in advance for their staff. He says that his staff absolutely freaking love this. Now, this is only an example that's been used for 4 weeks. Most of all, what's amazing with this AIP is the guy from the Cleveland Clinic said, Palantir is not giving us some cookie cutter platform, cookie cutter software. They're building us from scratch something that we can use, and they're putting the time and effort into actually being our partner, listening to what we need, and building us something that actually works. If this is not enough for anybody to understand what Palantir is, I don't know what else to tell you. I highly suggest that you watch the AIP Con. I'm going to leave a link down to Amit's show down below. He filmed the entire thing and he has a bunch of chapters. I highly suggest that you see the chapter for the Cleveland Clinic and you guys are going to understand what I'm talking about, because maybe some of this sounds like gibberish, maybe some of this sounds like Chinese. But what it sounds like to me, and I showed this to some nursing staff that I know, I showed this to a doctor that I know. Actually, one of my doctors is invested in Palantir, and they said that this is absolutely fucking groundbreaking. Every single hospital needs something like this, and I do believe that in the future, every single hospital or modern hospital is going to have a Palantir AIP or similar out there. I'm not going to say that Palantir is going to take the entire market when it comes to artificial intelligence and how it reflects in healthcare, but I will say that they will take a lion's share. Why? They've already been building this AIP platform 5 years ago while people are just currently starting. You see, although they didn't have an actual AIP platform, the technology for the AIP was literally made in a few weeks because Palantir already had everything. They just needed to take a bunch of things together, and now they built a brand new platform called AIP. But the actual proprietary technology has been used for a decade now by Palantir. Guys, Palantir for the freaking win. Enjoy your weekend. And before you go, I have a link to my Twitter down below, as well as a link to channel membership, which is $3 a month. This allows you to buy me a coffee if you like all the hard work that I do. YouTube robs me for $1 and I'm left with $2, so I buy myself a coffee in the morning, so I'm not rushing to bring you guys the best possible quality content I can. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.